Hi Aquarius, welcome to your mid-May reading. We're going to start with love. This reading is post Mercury retrograde, post the lunar eclipse in Scorpio, and post the transit of Jupiter into Taurus. In just a few minutes, Jupiter, having moved into Taurus, will square Pluto, which is in your sign. This square is extremely powerful, and it perfects over the next 5 days until May 31st. So let's talk about what this square means for you in terms of love, first of all. We'll get to the other stuff. We'll do love, then we'll do Aquarius rising, we'll do money, and then we'll do health, okay? So let's begin. Oh, hold on, I hear something that isn't pleasant. 1 second. All right. So first up, when it comes to love, we have some emotional baggage. It's haunting. It's not from now, it's from the past, but for some reason, it's coming up. And it won't, like, you can't shake it. Either it's feelings from a past relationship that are being mirrored in a current relationship or in a current dating situationship, or it's a feeling that you thought you were over something from a previous relationship, you've moved on, you haven't thought about it in a long time, but something has sparked it in you again. And you're starting to ask these questions that are very indicative of falling backwards, of going back into either a toxic space or a space that you really didn't think you'd ever come back to. It's definitely just baggage. It's somewhere in storage, but you find yourself being pulled back to this toxic place, and you have to address it. You have to address it because it is keeping you from truly connecting. So you are doing super well. Mashallah, that looks great. The world is, open to you. The world is on your side. Great. These two states of being are keeping you from truly connecting to things that should connect. It's very easy. This is perfect, right? Simple. What is this Eight of Swords? So, Seven of Swords, sorry. So the Seven of Swords traditionally is a card of deceit. It's a card of identifying the untrustworthy person, identifying the liar, and in this case, identifying and truly facing the reality of what this person was like. Whoever this person was who became that wounding in your relationship life or in your relational life, that person. This is the person who is still actively taking from you, okay? And that is very pronounced right now. You feel it deeply and you feel the urge, right? You have the urgency within you that you really want to get rid of this. You're like, I don't like this and I don't like living in the past either. The Four of Cups, for those of you who are new to the channel, the Four of Cups is that energy that is the antithesis of the now, of being in the moment. So the Four of Cups is someone who can't stop thinking and regretting and kicking themselves for mistakes they've made in the past, either because they wish they were still with this person or because they wish they had never met this person or wish they had seen through this person earlier, whatever it is. And you might be thinking, but I don't care about this person anymore. That's not what it's about at all. It's not to imply in any way that you are interested or want to go back. It's not that. It's just becoming more and more pronounced and obvious to you that the wounding you have and the inability to connect, truly connect, is still feeding off of this wounding. So it needs to be addressed. Now, when you address it, what you will find is that the reason it's so hard to let go of is because it involves your ego. You feel diminished by this. You feel somehow lessened by this, not because of what this person did, but it's strange. It's like you're not really that upset with how this person behaved or what this person did because you take responsibility for yourself. You're an adult. You also partook in it. But it's like you have this weird irritation that you lost, or like that they got one over on you. It's a pride thing is what I'm trying to say. And it may not at first register that way. You may sincerely be like, no, I'm just really hurt about this. Or like, no, that person really, messed me up. I'm in no way saying that they didn't. I'm just saying that it's pretty obvious that when you look at it from the outside and you don't have like your personal feelings involved in it, if you go to your friends, if you go to your family, they'll be able to tell you very clearly, quickly, honestly, that this is really about your ego. This is about you feeling like you got played, you feeling like you were taken for a ride. It's not so much about the pain. The baggage is more about the pride. Okay? So that's good. It's good to know. It's good to just put that in your back pocket. Like, you're not as into that person as you really think you are. You're not as affected by this person as you think you are. You are affected by the abandonment, though. And it's much more, it's liberating, because that's a much more useful thing, right? Like, you can deal with that. You can work with that. To truly believe that someone from your past has this much sway over your present would be unhealthy. And it's not true. It's your version of them, first of all, that has so much sway over you. And not even that, but how your ego responds to your version of them. So this is very internal. This really doesn't have to do with going out and talking to this person, or that's not really what you're looking for. You're not trying to like get back together with someone or anything like that. You're just noticing this like drama, right? This baggage, this drama. You're noticing that when drama starts, it always seems to come from this baggage. And now this baggage wants to be addressed. Now, Aquarius rising, this puts Jupiter in Taurus. That's your 4th house. So that's health. Okay. And it squares Pluto in your sign. This now becomes a power thing for you. Whether you realize it or not, you've been wanting a little power. You've been wanting a little authority. The Chariot is the Cancer card. The authority is there. Like, mom knows what she's doing, right? Mom knows what she's doing. Dad knows what he's doing. You want some weight. You want some gravitas. You want to be the person. You know what I mean? Like, you're starting to feel like that heaviness in your center. Like, I am something. I am someone. It's incredible. But I have to say, it's very easy for you to go too far with it. This square is not pleasant. And if it's giving you a surge of power, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that it doesn't come out in a pleasant way. And we already know that it doesn't. There you are. Here's all this pride. There's you. And this square comes in and gives you this like false sense of control, false sense of power. And unfortunately, a lot of you are going to unconsciously exert that power immediately over someone around you. And that can have pretty terrible consequences. Especially if it's somebody weaker than you, especially if it's somebody that perceives you as being stronger than them. This time period can leave, especially like 18, 19, 20th, this can leave a feeling with people of being bullied, if that makes sense. Right? Because you feel so strong, but it's this strange kind of strength where it's like feeding off of itself. It needs to keep itself alive. It needs to keep feeding itself like pride and accomplishment and recognition. And, it's forward moving. It always has to be consuming. This is not that. This is you making a conscious effort by saying, yeah, I want all these things and I want to be this way, but I am not going to treat this transit like a tool to just like gain more and more power. I'm not going to use this to overpower situations around me. I'm going to use this energy actually to observe myself. Where does that power dynamic jump out of me? When do I get into a space where I start being mean, where I start being like almost cruel, right? There is this like Aquarian, I'm going to be cruel with logic shtick that you guys do. That comes up very much so right now. That square will bring it right out of you, okay? The thing with picking on someone weaker, you may think that you're helping them. You may 100% believe that you're, there for them. It's going to read terribly, okay? So just be very careful for the next 5 days. Now, most of us, when we exert this kind of control, is because we have a deep-seated need to feel secure, right? Unfortunately, it has the opposite effect. So when you exert control over someone, it's because you don't want to feel weak. You want to feel safe and you want to feel strong. And generally what happens is that when we try to exert control over people, they can easily tell that we're compensating. And we give ourselves away as being quite weak, right? So there's several reasons that you shouldn't do this. And this applies to your family and your friends. It's very easy for you to do this to your family right now as well, especially if you have a younger sibling. So be careful, living in the shadow of an older sibling who is an Aquarian is very, very tough, okay? Because first of all, you guys are going to play the victim. So even though the sibling is younger than you, you swear that you had it the hardest, right? So but that's just your nature. I'm not roasting you. Don't get mad. I'm just saying that's how y'all be. Because you understand the human condition so deeply that of course you understand your human condition even more deeply. Sometimes that gets away from you and you start thinking you're the only people in the world that think or suffer or have logic, but it's not true. But, in these moments, yeah, right? So we don't want to take any of that energy and put it on our family, put it on our friends, and we don't want to step into that spotlight of playing the victim or in any way attracting this kind of sorry energy to ourselves. We don't want to do it. And if you have some overwhelming need for attention right now, just create something. It'll pop off. So that's a much easier and less embarrassing way to get what you need. Now, on the 20th, in just a few days here, Mars is going to move into Leo. When it does, this whole thing, it's like a powder keg. It's like a powder keg about to go off. There's so little you can actually do to work with this energy. It's sudden, it's brash, it's verbally aggressive, it's physically aggressive, and it's very easy for large groups of people, for friend circles, for collaborative circles, for communities to turn against you because you lose your temper and you end up saying something that one, you don't mean at all, and two, is super, super nasty, and it changes the way people look at you in a way that you can't change back. You ever did that? You ever, as an Aquarian, said something to somebody that you really respected and you saw them change because they're so disappointed or fucked up by what you said that they're like, what? And they haven't looked at you the same again? We want to avoid that. And as of the 20th, from the 20th to the 31st, it's extremely possible for this to be happening. Okay? The verbal aggression is where it starts, and it escalates and escalates and escalates until you're all taking from each other. It doesn't matter who's right and who's wrong anymore. Everyone's just trying to take each other's swords. Okay? So this is where the cards come in and say, keeping together as a family, as a community, as a group takes really hard work. It doesn't just happen, right? Now, if you are an Aquarian who also happens to be a Cancer rising, then you're going to see this Jupiter in Taurus in an area of your life where you are connecting with others. and you're starting to do the giving away power thing instead of trying to hold on to it. And what you'll realize very quickly in this group setting is that the more you give your power away, the more it comes to you. And it comes to you in a form that's easier to hold. When you have to hold on to power, it's quite anxious. It's an anxious exercise, right? You're just always worried that someone's going to take it from you. When you give it away and it comes back to you because it resonates with you, because it's yours, you don't have that anymore. You don't have that anxiety of holding that power, that nervousness, that what is this? It's not mine. I need to get it out, or I need to do something with it. I need to move. I need to talk. It is yours. You let it go. It came back to you. It wants to be with you. It sits, deep in your center. That's yours. Okay. That now applies to collaborative efforts, group efforts, friends, connections, and it's super positive. Now, it also is about your health. So let's get back to that. As you may have noticed by now, most of the health conversations have to do with mental health, right? Because it does feel like you keep painting yourself into a corner. And I think that's why it's so important to address these things. This is the cause, this is the effect. Okay, that's why I think it's so important to address these things and not just like sweep them under the rug. Like, yeah, it's not the easiest thing to talk about. No, nobody wants to sit around and talk about something that happened years and years and years ago, for no reason. But it is for a reason. It's because you're still somehow, as circuitous as this path is, you're still living that trauma out. Got to do something about it. Okay? While you're trying to do this shadow work with this trauma, figure out what your inner child is all about anyway, why it ever even went this direction, you've got to deal with this verbal aggression from Leo and Mars. Jupiter, Taurus, the square. You got to deal with this as well at the same time. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now let's move on to money. So some projects are ending, but I think they actually open the door for you to take a road that's much, much more successful, luckier. One of the things, Aquarius, you have to realize about how success in business or money works is that we have a certain amount of luck that we come into life with. And certain people have more of it and some people have less of it. You can always even that out with work. But I think you're starting to get into an interesting place here, an interesting space emotionally, where you're beginning to realize that there are people all around you who don't really have to work so hard. And they're able to sustain themselves, make a living, do the things that you're doing, but they don't have this chasing mindset. I think this is an incredible time to discover that within yourself and, integrate it into your belief system. Now, when it comes to money, aside from that, Jupiter and Taurus will bring you a lot of satisfaction and a lot of security and a lot of grounding, okay? You can collaborate, you can be an ally, and if you want, you can be a tyrant too, if you want to. But the few things that you have to do, okay? 1, go to the doctor. If you need to go to the doctor, if you're having the feeling, okay, go to the doctor. Just do it. The other thing, when projects end, if you can learn to see them as the beginning of the next thing, the motivator being like, oh, I get to change everything now, or I get to change such and such things, or blah, blah, like make it fun for yourself for this project to end. Okay? Whatever project that is, work project, family project, whatever you're doing, just prepare yourself for that. Okay? Maybe it's done, maybe it falls through, maybe whatever it is, don't fret, don't worry about it. Okay? Because that thing, if it's for you, it's going to find you. You can't get away from you. It's going to hunt you down and find you and give itself to you. Because it's yours. Ain't nothing you could do about it. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain things, and this is maybe how we wrap here before we go to the extended. There are certain things like that just, they defy how the world works. And chasing is one of them. Chasing is always going to make the thing you are running after run away. Why would you ever do that? Why would you ever make anything that you want run away from you? The point is to become a lure, a bait for the things that want you and you want them. Okay? So if we reframe things that way, it gets much easier. It gets much easier to face an ending. You know? Yeah. I mean, I say don't be a tyrant, but it wouldn't be that bad for you to be a little bit of a tyrant. Just don't use verbal aggression. Whatever this emotional baggage is that you need to get out, whatever you need to do it. Maybe you do need to get into, that bag. Just don't use verbal aggression. It's just so pointed that it will backfire on you. This is the summer, Aquarius, where I feel like people are a little bit irritated with the way you can be. You can thank Blueface for making you guys so fucking famous like in that way, because he just so perfectly exemplifies that one Aquarian quality that seems to drive people crazy. You don't have to be like that, is what I'm saying. You don't have to be like that. And since this involves your friends and your family, this is actually a really great way to get to know them again, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people, would be very surprised, or maybe you don't even know yourself, and you're very surprised at how much pain a person can hold. Well, I love you. And I'm going to be back with the extended in a couple of days.